English. Let us start with the question related to enrichment. What will be your enrichment today? You will improve your comprehension skill, an important editorial related to plastics, and vocabulary. We have 10 plus words, grammar consolidation, effective English, a few important words are there, idioms are there. Mini mocks as usual, but at 7:30, and this I doubt. Let us start with the question, what is this about? When you ask the question, what is this about? This editorial discusses the challenges and complexities surrounding the Global Plastics Treaty. One particular treaty, that is Global Plastics Treaty. It's all about that, and about that along with the challenges and complexities related to that. What is the tone of the editorial? The tone of the editorial, because it is about treaty, it is about plastics, not good for the environment. It has to talk about the treaty and whatever resolutions passed, the limitations, challenges, and complexities. Based on that, it should be informative and analytical. The tone of the editorial is informative and analytical. It has to provide information about the treaty, and it has to analyze what exactly the treaty is and what are the limitations and what is India's stand. As I said, we have 10 plus words. We'll go to vocabulary, discuss about order for stress on, not acceptable. Treaty, part of speech, noun, meaning a formally concluded and ratified agreement between countries. Among countries would have been better. It's nothing but an agreement, ratified, concluded, a formally, very formal, formally concluded and ratified agreement. Synonyms, a simple word, agreement, pact, an important word, accord, an important word, convention, it goes more with meeting, compact, not relevant here. Antonyms, disagreement, breach, an important word we have got many a time. A rupture, that is also, that goes more with the wounds and everyday English. Disagreement, that's right, between two, among more than two. Disagreement, conflict. Example, the peace treaty ended years of hostility between the two nations. Hostile, you have to recollect words like enmity, and also an important word like antagonistic. All these are very important words. Hostile, hostility, enmity, antagonistic. The second word goes with youngsters like you. Ambitious, part of speech, adjective. Generally, we say ambitious youth. What is the meaning of that? Having or showing a strong desire and determination to succeed or achieve something great. Everyone has dreams, but when you have a dream which is not that easy and you want to struggle or strive to achieve that, that is known as to have an ambition. Synonyms, aspiring, you're all aspirants, that is also an important word. Determined, we have got many a time. Eager goes more with enthusiasm, eager to achieve success, enthusiasm, eager to learn, driven, goal oriented, and important expression. You have to use in descriptive English. Antonyms, lazy, unambitious, content. Content means to be satisfied with whatever you have. Contented person. That is not advisable. Then you don't want to go to a higher level. Apathetic does not go with this, no emotions. Complacent and content both are important, both mean the same. Complacency is very dangerous. Means what? If you are happy with whatever you have, you cannot raise the standards. Example, she has ambitious plans. Ambitious, adjective, ambition, noun. Ambitious plans to start her own business and change the world. Curb, we have got many a time, but it's an important word. Verb, a regular verb, meaning to restrain or control. More than restrain, then you have to recollect the word refrain, restrain. Both take the preposition from, that you have to recollect. But here it is more like controlling, to limit, restrict. These are better words. Control, limit, restrict. Synonyms: restrain, I don't consider. Control, yes, check. Inhibit, restrict. Inhibit also does not go with this context. We can definitely use words like control, check, restrict. Antonyms: encourage, promote, unleash, an important word we have already got. Free, indulge. Indulge means to get into a particular act that goes with a different context. Example: the government implemented new policies to curb pollution. Curb something negative. Curb pollution in the city. Appropriate based on today's editorial. Contentious we have got, but an important word, that's why I had to bring. Contentious, part of speech adjective. It goes with issue. Causing or likely to cause an argument. Controversial. Controversial, what is the word that goes with the word controversial? Issue. Synonyms: controversial, disputable, debatable, contentious, same word. Polemical, we have got for the first time. An important word. Antonyms: agreeable, peaceful, harmonious, uncontroversial, non contentious. Simple words. Harmonious goes with a different context. Without any disturbance, that's what it means. Example: the issue of gun control. This goes with the US context. The issue of gun control is highly contentious and often leads to heated debates. Highly controversial gun license in the US. Consensus, an important word, part of speech noun, meaning general agreement among a group of people. All the people in a group agree to the same thing, consensus. Synonyms: agreement, harmony. Here you can use unity, concurrence, an important word. Accord. Antonyms: disagreement, discord. You have to recollect apple of discord, cause of dispute. Dissent. Descent, ascent going up, descent coming down. But here look at the spelling, double S, not SC. Contention, same thing. Division. Contentious, issue, adjective. Contention, noun. Example: after much discussion, the committee reached a consensus on the new policy. Committee, again, you have to recollect the rule that goes with collective nouns, and important collective nouns you have to recollect. Veto, also an important word. It could be a verb, it could be a noun. A constitutional right to reject a decision or proposal made by a lawmaking body. Synonyms: reject, forbid, not to allow, disallow, overrule, block. Usually it goes with the meaning block or overrule. Overrule is the appropriate word. Antonyms: approve, accept, endorse. Endorse is an important word. Publicly support. Permit, support. Example: the president has the power to veto legislation passed by Congress. Congress may pass a legislation, but the president has the power to veto, either to overrule or block or prohibit, whatever. Proponent, part of speech noun, it goes with a person. A person who advocates, advances, supports a theory, proposal, or course of action. Synonyms: advocate. Here, advocate is like a noun, but that lawyer, attorney, a different meaning. Supporter, champion, defender, promoter. All simple words. Veto power. Then it becomes adjective. Antonyms: opponent, critic, adversary. We have already got this, important. Detractor, new word, important. Enemy. She is a strong proponent of renewable energy and sustainability. What does it mean? She supports or advocates renewable energy and sustainable practices. Reminiscent of something, it takes the preposition of. See here, reminiscent of. Part of speech adjective. Tending to remind one of something, evocative or suggestive of something. Evoke, from that you get this word. Suggestive, simple word, but this is an important word. Redolent, an important word we have got for the first time. Same word, and evocatory, different word form, important though. Antonyms: forgettable, unrelated, dissimilar, unconnected, irrelevant. Not exactly. Here you can think of only forgettable, one word. Example: the smell of fresh baked cookies was reminiscent of her childhood. That means when she uh, got the smell of that fresh baked cookies, she thought of her childhood. It reminded her of her childhood. Enshrine, an important word. Usually it goes with constitution. Something has been enshrined, meaning to preserve or protect something as if in a shrine. This is a different meaning. To cherish or keep sacred. Usually it doesn't go with, it may go with religion, but enshrined in some place means embedded or included. Synonyms: preserve, protect, cherish, safeguard, immortalize. Antonyms: huh, neglect, abandon, de- desecrate, an important word we have got for the first time, dishonor, disregard, no respect. The values of equality. The values of equality and freedom are enshrined in the Constitution. As I said, it goes with Constitution. The values of equality and freedom are enshrined in the Constitution. Means what? Embedded, included in the Constitution. Privileged people, privileged lot, part of speech adjective. Having special rights, advantages, or immunities. Advantaged person, elite, already we have got many a time. Fortunate people, favored people. Affluent means a rich, affluent family, affluent society, affluent country. Antonyms: disadvantaged, no privileges, underprivileged, an important word you have to use in the descriptive paper, oppressed, an important word, deprived of rights, important word, impoverished. That is also, all these words are very important. Example: growing up in a wealthy family, he was privileged with access to the best education and opportunities. Obviously. Opulence also you can say. Yes, good, Naidu. Moot, part of speech verb. Not mute, moot. Verb. Subject to, it can be an adjective. It usually goes with one typical combination, question. Means a debatable question. Subject to debate, dispute, or uncertainty. No longer relevant or worth discussing. That's a different meaning altogether. Debatable. Usually it means debatable, disputable, arguable, questionable, unresolved. Antonyms: settled, decided, indisputable, certain, unquestionable. Example: the court dismissed the case as moot, means cannot be debated, since the law in question had been repealed, means removed, revoked, made null and void. Transition, a simple word we have got many a time, change. The process of changing or moving from one state or condition to another. Synonyms are changeover, conversion, shift, transformation, evolution. Antonyms: stagnation, important word, means no change, no improvement. Permanence, inertia, an important word, though it goes with physics. There's one important expression you have to know: political inertia. Some people never vote. They don't believe in the system. They have this political inertia, an important word. Status quo, an important foreign expression we have got many a time. Immobility goes with a different context. The company is transitioning, changing to renewable energy sources to reduce its carbon footprint. Transition can be a noun, can be a verb. Those are the words from today's editorial. Today's editorial is an important editorial. What is the reason? It is related to environment. It is related to plastic solution. You may get something like this in the exam. Plastic solution beyond the global plastics treaty. It's all about the plastics treaty. Global Plastics Treaty. But what is the solution? The main idea, plastic pollution cannot be ended by treaties. Today we all know we have this problem of plastic pollution. And the editor opines we cannot end this plastic pollution with the help of treaties, but we have to depend on or invest on in our alternatives. The plastic pollution cannot be ended by treaties without investment in alternatives. Treaties are required, but without investment in alternatives, we cannot end plastic pollution simply by going in for treaties. The Global Plastics Treaty, the main thing, an ambitious initiative involving at least 175 United Nations member nations to eliminate the use of plastics, concluded its fourth round of negotiations recently. From here to here, additional information. What is the subject here? The Global Plastics Treaty concluded its fourth round of negotiations recently. This is the main idea. But additional information in the form of a phrase, an ambitious initiative involving at least 175 United Nations member nations to eliminate the use of plastics. Concluded recently. But generally, I tell students if you take the word recently, it goes with present perfect tense. They have recently come here. He has recently announced his resignation. But do remember in English we have rules, we have exceptions. Here, concluded, which tense is that? Past tense. I would rather prefer the Global Plastics Treaty has concluded recently. That is a better expression. The goal, any treaty, any convention, any accord, any agreement, there should be some sort of objective, goal. What is the goal of this treaty? The goal is to finalize a legal document by the end of 2024 this year, with timelines by when countries must agree to curb plastic production, eliminate its uses that create wastage. It's a lengthy sentence, but what it says, what is the goal of this treaty? The goal is to finalize a legal document. First, finalizing the legal document by the end of 2024. And this legal document should contain what? With the timelines by when countries must agree to curb plastic production, restrict plastic production, not one thing, two or three things. This is the first one. Timelines by when countries must agree to curb plastic production, first one. By when eliminate its uses that create wastage, second one. By when ban certain chemicals used in its production, and fourth one, by when set targets for recycling. For all these, by when, that is a question. Four dimensions. Unfortunately, an agreement is not in sight. We can say not in sight, nowhere, nowhere in the sight. Nowhere in the sight. Means they haven't found the solution. Cut down also you can say. There is yet another round of negotiations scheduled in Busan, South Korea this November. One more round they're going to go in for. Yet another round, one more round, for emphasis it has been used. There is yet another round of negotiations scheduled in Busan, South Korea this November. Usually what happens at treaty, so many countries, some countries may favor a particular resolution, some countries may not. Yes. Here it talks about what are the objections raised by a few countries. The primary hurdles are economic. Usually any treaty has objections, has hurdles. Hurdles already we have got so many times. Hindrances, blocks, bottlenecks, impediments. Any country before signing, ratifying the treaty will focus on the uh, uh, economic consequences, ramifications. Based on that, to support this, the primary hurdles are economic. What are the hurdles? Oil producing and refining countries. Producing and refining countries such as Saudi Arabia, the USA, Russia, and India, and Iran are reluctant about hard deadlines, unwilling to accept the hard deadlines to eliminate plastic production. Here, opposition from these countries. What are the countries? These are both oil producing and refining. Saudi Arabia, the US, Russia, India, and Iran. Reluctant about hard deadlines to eliminate plastic production. A coalition of African countries. Coalition usually goes with politics, political parties. But here, countries. A coalition of African countries supported by several European nations is in favor of a year around 2040 to ensure that a timeline for reduction is in effect. They want to take one more year to finalize. This particular group wants to take extend. Actual deadline is 2024, but African countries, a coalition of African countries supported by several European nations, is in favor of a year around 2040 to ensure that a timeline for reduction is in effect. They want it to be done by 2040, but to finalize one more year. There is also disagreement on whether contentious elements, controversial elements in the treaty should be decided on by a vote or consensus. This is something like something tricky. Imagine any treaty, any agreement, some oppose, some agree. There is also disagreement on whether, whenever there's a controversial issue, how to decide whether contentious elements in the treaty should be decided on by a vote. Usually that's what we do, democratic, go with the majority, or consensus. All should accept. Second one, the latter, already we have got many a time. Former, the first one, latter, the second one. What is the former here? Vote, democratic. And what is the latter here? This one, consensus. The latter implying that every country has a veto. Obviously, imagine consensus, then India says no. That is like a veto, then they cannot go ahead. India's opinion, now it talks about India's stand, India's opinion about the treaty. India's opinion, other than being uncomfortable with binding targets and hard deadlines, already mentioned, is that a legally binding instrument to end the plastic pollution must also address. Here we are talking about a legally binding instrument or legally binding means to end plastic pollution. India says it must also deal with certain problems like availability, accessibility, affordability of alternatives, including cost implications and specifying arrangements. India wants all these things to be addressed, and especially the editorial starts with only treaty will not end plastic pollution. We have to look for or invest in alternatives. Affordability of alternatives, that is also very important. One thing, accessibility, availability, accessibility, affordability of alternatives, including cost implications and specifying arrangements. For what? For capacity building and technical assistance, technology transfer, and financial assistance. Some countries have all these. They have to transfer for capacity building and technical assistance, technology transfer, and financial assistance. This is based on something. This language, and India is not the only proponent, means other countries also they are among the proponents. Is reminiscent of the principle of, it reminds us of the principle of common but differentiated responsibility. All countries have the common responsibility to cut down, to reduce pollution. But some countries have differentiated responsibility. The developed countries, the countries with the technology, the countries which can transport technology, the countries which can finance the projects. This is based on the principle of something. It is reminiscent of the principle of common but differentiated responsibility, enshrined in climate talks. Under this, countries must have a common target. What does it mean? Common but differentiated responsibility. Here, the editorial tries to elaborate. Under this, countries must have a common target, reduce pollution or greenhouse gases, but those more privileged, the advanced developed countries, those more privileged, must support others and take on stricter targets themselves. It says those the developed countries, they are the privileged. They should support others through technology transfer, funding the projects. At the same time, they should take on stricter targets themselves. They should not expect others to do that. In the year that the Plastics Treaty was mooted in 2022, moot also means to initiate. In the year, when was it initiated? In the year that the Plastics Treaty was mooted in 2022. India brought into effect, bring into effect, an important expression you have to remember. The same year, India brought into effect something. What is that? The Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2021 that banned 19 categories of single use plastics. It, however, does not include plastic bottles, even those less than 200 ml, and multi layered packaging boxes. If you take those 19 banned categories, the list does not include contrasting information. Plastic bottles, even those less than 200 ml, and multi layered packaging boxes, as in milk cartons. Moreover, even the ban on single use plastic items is not uniformly enforced nationally, with several outlets continuing to retail these goods. It is not universal across the country, not being implemented. Some places they are being accepted, allowed. The global distribution of the plastic pollution is unequal, with Brazil, China, India, and the US responsible for 60% of plastic waste. Unfortunate. The global distribution of the plastic pollution is unequal, with four countries, Brazil, China, India, and the US, responsible for 60% of plastic waste, according to a report by the non-profit EA Earth Action. Much like how transitioning away from fossil fuel invites its own challenges, we have been talking about one more dimension. What is it? Do away with fossil fuels and depend more on renewable sources of energy. There also so many challenges are there. The writer says in a similar manner, much like how transitioning, changing away or moving away from fossil fuel invites its own challenges, plastic pollution cannot be ended by merely signing treaties. Main idea is being repeated. Plastic pollution cannot be ended by merely signing treaties. Then what are we supposed to do? There needs to be much greater investment in alternative products and making them affordable before realistic targets are decided upon. First, countries should work on alternative investment in alternative products, one thing, and making them affordable, another thing. These two things should happen before realistic targets are decided upon. The main idea is being reiterated. That's all about this editorial. Do remember an important one, because you will definitely get a passage in the exam related to environment, either prelims or mains, and pollution. They have given many a time in descriptive English. Write about air pollution, water pollution, plastic pollution, and be prepared for a question in descriptive English, essay writing or letter writing, either here or there. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Do remember to subscribe and share. If you want to practice mini mocks, join at 7:30. Thank you.